I stand here saddened and ashamed. I'm saddened because of the witness to yet another day, yet another time and place for the same old slaughter that occurs too often in this nation that we love. I'm saddened because young people, those who have life ahead of them, have had their lives cut abruptly off by a deranged young man. I'm saddened because once again the anguished cries of mothers for the rest of their lives, those who survived the slaughter in Connecticut, will always have this moment in time as a point of reference. But I'm also angry. I'm ashamed. At this moment, I'm ashamed of the institution that I am called to work in on behalf of the people of the 1st Congressional District and the people of America. It seems that the only bipartisan agreement that exists in Washington, D.C. is a bipartisan agreement to allow guns to flow through the streets of America like running water. The only bipartisan agreement that exists in Washington, D.C. is the agreement between Democrats and Republicans to sit idly by while our colleges are becoming killing fields. Our high schools are becoming killing fields. And yet now we're witnessing our kindergarten becoming killing fields. I'm ashamed of the Congress. I call upon my colleagues in the Congress to come out from their hiding. Come out. Take on the NRA and all the others who will allow automatic weapons to be placed in the hands of those who are mentally diseased, those who have nothing on their mind but wanton murder and mayhem. Come out from the hiding, members of Congress, and do something about this very, very important issue. Amen. I invite the victims of gun violence in America to come to Washington, to raise your voices, to march on the Senate, to march on the House, and let those who are in hiding know that they can't hide anymore. We are sick and tired of being sick and tired of our children being murdered on the streets, the main streets and the side streets of our nation. The time to act is now. We can do nothing, no more or no less than to demand that this Congress pass reasonable gun control legislation, that we ban assault weapons in this nation.
This is a time to mourn, a time of great pain and anguish. The treaty took the lives of these babies to gain our attention anew. Dr. King said over and over again, we have a choice: nonviolence or non-existence. We must choose life over death, and hope over hysteria, and our future over our funerals. These children will never have a Christmas coming up in 2 days. law-breaking and laws, and the innocence of their lives have been taken from them. We've urged over and over again that we revive the ban on assault weapons. We've become so addicted to the flow of guns. There are 15,000 gun shops in America, plus gun shows, more gun shops in America than there are Starbucks in the world. Easier to get a gun than to get a cup of coffee. But we as a nation must go another way. Unearned suffering is redemptive. And just maybe after the killings we've witnessed in our own city in Chicago and around the nation, it's NIU one day, it's Aurora, it's Columbine, it's Arizona. When will we learn? When will we get the message? I am concerned that the innocent will kill. I'm concerned about what point this young man's mind is traumatized and never restored. But at what point his mental disease set in? Or his mother owning these guns in the first place. We've come to believe that guns make us safer. They make us less safe. More guns and less security. Perhaps in this dark hour, the glow is that we have come together across lines of political parties and race, religion, and gender to find some common ground and renewed determination to wipe out these guns before they wipe us out.
The country is watching the House and the Senate. It is time for them to have a vote and put their names associated with that vote in a vote of conscience. Because this, with all of us, regardless of where you are, and regardless of where you live, and regardless of whether you are a parent with a child or a parent who has had a child lost, we are one city, one nation. It's time for our House of Representatives and our United States Senate have a vote. Put that assault weapon back up. Yeah. So this does not happen because when all of us, as Prophet Isaiah said, you may walk in darkness, but you will see a bright shining light. That light is what we are holding. It is time for Congress to shed that light on this nation and have that vote. And it's time to have a vote on the assault weapon ban and us renew it to protect all our families, all our children, to return our streets to our families and our communities and our neighborhoods. Thank you for being here, and let us not forget this night and carry it forward with the force it has to bring our country into light. Thank you.
We stand here in unison with our sisters and brothers in Connecticut. But today it's Connecticut. It could be Terrell Bosley. It could be Gabby Gifford. Who will it be tomorrow? Who will be the children that are slain tomorrow, whether it's in Connecticut or in Oakland or in Newark or in Chicago? Until we address and have the courage to address in this country the violence that has become part of the culture of America, we've all got to address that in our homes, in our streets, in our blocks, in our schools, in our churches and synagogues and mosques. All of us have to somehow come together and deal with a culture that is more ready to hurt someone than to help someone. We have to address this culture that we've allowed to exist in this country. But we also must call to our leadership. And like Congressman Rush, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed of the Congress of the United States. I'm embarrassed of the Senate of the United States. We talk about a fiscal cliff that we might hit. We are already over the violence cliff in America. We've been over it for a long time. There's no sense worrying about an economy if our children are dying in our streets. So it's time for us to call on the conscience of Congress. Mayor Emanuel has it right. It's time for a conscious vote of every congressman, every senator. Forget the politics. The president said it yesterday. This is a time for action. And let me say this to you. If we do not, if all those congressmen and senators and all those elected officials just talk about how horrible Connecticut was and just mourn and stand up in great public squares and speak about it, but do nothing about it, your mourning is shallow and it's phony. Yes. You cannot say you care about the children of Connecticut if you're not willing in their memory and in their life value to say, now we're going to stop another child. Because if we don't stop it, if we don't pass assault weapon bans, if we don't stop easy access to guns, then the blood is on the hands of the Congress.